I just watched this new show called Shogun, which released on FX and Hulu. It was directed by Hiroyuki Sanada, and essentially it's a historical biopic slash political thriller based in feudal Japan, and it's about the shogun being overthrown and the way that he tries to get out of all the other um, warlords trying to kill him. It's a very interesting show. It's based on a book by James Clavell, and I believe there is also a mini series that came out uh, in the 80s or 90s about this book, and this most recent one is a remake of that. So, starting off, I think that the acting was extremely good. Most of the show is in Japanese, but there's also some Portuguese characters who speak in English. And so the main character, who's Portuguese, is Cosmo Jarvis. Uh, he's played by Cosmo Jarvis. His name is John Blackthorne. And I thought he did a really good job. Um, so throughout the entire show, it's pretty hard to predict what's going to happen. And this character's acting really helped to sell that because you can really understand everything that this guy's going through, being thrown into a society that he doesn't know anything about. Uh, being from Spain, he doesn't know anything about Japan, and he crash lands there, and he has to learn how life works, how like social structures work, and he has to learn at the same time about the political structure because of the warlords tearing each other apart. And so Cosmo Jarvis, I feel I don't really know him from anything else, but I think he did a pretty good job. Like the script definitely served his acting well. It's just I have a few minor gripes with him, about the way that he enunciated certain things, or like the slowness that he said things sometimes put me off a little bit. But I think overall he definitely gave a worthwhile performance. I don't think I'd have cast somebody different um, knowing that he performed this well, because I really got invested in his character and in his relationships with the other characters who he meets. Now, the next character who I want to talk about, the next actor, is Anna Sawai, and she plays Toto Mariko, who's a secondary main character. A big conflict in this show comes from uh, the the conflict between um, Catholics and Protestants, and how the Christians in Japan already were predominantly Catholic, and John Blackthorne, who's the character who comes from Spain, he's actually he comes from England. He's actually Protestant, and so there's a lot of back and forth about like people being against each other for different reasons. Everyone has their own motivation. Like, who is this person? Like are they doing this for the benefit of Japan, or are they doing it for religious reasons? There's a lot of conflict based in religion and politics that's really fun to unpack while you're watching, and also even after you finish watching. Um, and also just the story overall, I feel. Oh, sorry, I have to bring up the main character, Yoshi Toranaga, who's played by Hiroyuki Sanada, the guy who directed the show, and I think that he did a very good job. Essentially, his character is very mysterious. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what. You don't exactly know what his motivations are. All you know is what he presents to you, and what he presents is like veiled by layers of deceit. Because as the shogun, as a warlord, he has to grapple with all these different people with different political ideologies. Where if he says the wrong thing, uh, it'll start a war across all of Japan. So the acting has to be really precise about keeping that balance between being cordial and also leaving a little bit of room to the imagination of what this guy's actually thinking. Yeah, so he's very interesting. He's a complex character. I think the actor did an incredible job. And about Toto Mariko, I think her actor did an incredible job. My only gripes about this character have to do with spoilers about the plot. I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, I think that the actors definitely did an amazing job. The story itself, I think, was very compelling. Going from the very beginning, I actually got to see this the first two episodes premiere. I saw it in theaters, and it was definitely a very different experience because I've never watched a TV show on such a huge screen. Except I feel like Shogun was the perfect show to do that with. I feel like it deserves to be on the big screen, because of how grand the action sequences are, how dramatic a lot of the conflicts are. It definitely lends itself well to being watched on the big screen. So I mean, for that reason, I'm a little bit bummed out that uh, this amazing show was relegated to Hulu, but I honestly don't have any alternative ideas that I could honestly say are better. However, even after the two episodes I watched in theaters, which were incredible, I still enjoyed it. However, I do think that my experience was a little bit tainted because I had higher expectations based on my experience with the first two episodes. Um, Now, that's not to say the latter episodes aren't as good. It's just um, I feel that the story itself requires a certain amount of pacing, like between the episodes, and I think that as you went through the latter half, the pacing sort of got all over the place. Like I don't like one of the episodes. What like pretty much nothing happened in it, and then the next few episodes were culminating in the finale. So it felt a little bit unbalanced. The first two episodes were definitely more packed with content than the rest of them. And so for that reason, I feel a little bit more drawn to them. But the overall story is good, even if the pacing wasn't stellar. Except something has to be said that the pacing might just be a product of the fact it's a TV show. I can accept that. However, I do have a few problems with the way that the story went. Um, yeah. I'm going to move on to visuals. So, as I said before, the visuals are absolutely stellar when it comes to action sequences and some of the cinematography and the camera work they use to capture these actors' expressions, blocking, and everything happening. It makes you feel immersed in this environment. It makes you feel like you're in the room with these characters, and it makes the conflicts more engaging. It makes the characters more relatable. It makes it easier to get attached to these characters. Um, However, I do have a bit of a complaint regarding the visuals because CGI, although I don't have an issue with the use of CGI in general, Shogun, unfortunately, since it's a TV show, and TV shows don't have the highest budget for visual effects and that sort of thing, there are certain scenes where I felt sort of taken out of the experience because of the CGI being noticeable. Like, for instance, when the characters are on a ship and their hair is like fuzzy because you can tell that they used a green screen, and they're putting in a new background behind it, so their hair gets messed up. It little stuff like that where if you're not really paying that much attention, it isn't that noticeable, but for me at least, it was pretty distracting and it took me out of it. But overall, I don't think that the CGI actually made the story less good because, I mean, I've never watched a political thriller before, but Shogun actually brought me to realize that I might actually like this genre a lot. Like, shows like Succession or The West Wing, I've never seen, even though all of my friends, like my family, always tell me you should watch this show, like it's amazing. But I've never actually watched them. So when I watched Shogun, I sort of went in expecting not to really love the political aspects, because the only thing I really remember of like political stuff in media is from Star Wars, like the when I was little watching the prequel movies, and I was just bored out of my wits, bored out of my mind watching these old Jedi talk to each other about politics I didn't care about. But with Shogun, I actually realized that I like this genre, because Shogun in itself, even with all of its action sequences, all of its character, all of its drama, uh, its main focus, I'd argue, is on the actual political thriller aspect. So much of this show is reliant on you being invested in the political issues happening, and I think it did an amazing job doing that, because from the first episode, I didn't know anything about feudal Japan or anything about the political structure, but it quickly established how it all works. It quickly established all the characters. There's a lot of characters in this show. It quickly got me invested in this story where I understood everything I needed to know. So for that reason, the first few episodes are really good, because it starts out a little bit more basic for newcomers who might not understand this political structure already, except when we kept on going into future episodes and stuff just kept getting more and more complicated, I found myself a little bit more detached from what the political issues were, because I got a little bit taken out of it when I didn't realize exactly what was happening or what the characters' motivations were. But overall, I think that the latter half of the show definitely did a good job of raising the stakes and in keeping everything interesting. I definitely think that Shogun. Okay, I think that Shogun is a very, very good show. Of course, it has flaws, especially with the pacing and some of the characterization. But overall, I really liked the political aspects. I really liked most of the visuals. I really loved the story. Overall, I'd give it maybe 9 out of 10. That's my official score. All right. Thanks for listening.